Hello and welcome to this webinar. Can you all hear me good?
Yes, we can, Benoit.
Okay.
Hello all.
I hear you fine.
So my name is Benoit Ron. I am a business developer for Link, an EMEA cloud integrator, and we are very pleased today to welcome you on this webinar on how to optimize your SAP workload when migrating to AWS. This webinar is organized by Link, and we have the pleasure today to welcome both SAP and AWS as guest speakers. So let me introduce you to Vincent Du from SAP and Steve Quinn, who join us today, along with Kim, our senior technical consultant. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat zone, and we will respond your question at the end. So the agenda for today. We will first present our activities at Linke, and we suggest you to focus on 5 pillars around the well-architected framework, also called WAF, developed by AWS, around 5 pillars. The reliability and the performance efficiency, the operational excellence. We will show you some automation tools and some managed services that can help you reach this operational excellence. Then some info about cost optimizations and some funding programs that you can find with AWS. And then some new security features developed by SAP at the SAP application layer. So the general idea of this webinar is to start from the infrastructure layer and go up until the SAP application layer to show you how at each step we can try to automate and optimize your SAP workload. So Link first. We have 10 years of experience helping customers migrating and operating their SAP landscape in the AWS cloud. We just integrated with Syntax, a Canadian company, to extend our cloud capabilities and global presence on the market. Syntax is a leading managed cloud provider for mission-critical enterprise application with a strong presence in the US and DACH area. Regarding Linke, we are a 100% cloud company, and we have helped dozens of enterprises from all sectors to accelerate and optimize their cloud migrations. Our customers range from the utility industry like Northern Gas Network in the UK, Madrileña Red de Gas in Spain, energy company like Engie or Galp in Portugal, or construction like Lafarge-Holcim. We were one of the first non-global SI, being a premier partner and with some SAP competencies. We operate in 17 countries, mainly in Europe. And on top of our consulting activities, those years of experience have led us to better understand our customer needs and develop a range of products, basically designed to facilitate access to AWS services directly from your SAP applications. So if we have a closer look at those tools, the main flagship solution is called the AWS Connector. It is basically a DevOps innovative tool made up to enrich your SAP applications with AWS services. So for example, you can store some documents of your current content server into an Amazon S3 bucket. So it's easier to maintain and at a lower cost. We also have developed a backend agent for your backup that is certified by SAP, designed to handle your backups in the cloud. What makes it unique is that you can back up different types of database, Sybase, HANA, or Oracle with the same product. We will also have a closer look today at the SAP automation platform. This tool is made to accelerate and to automate operation and deployment of a new SAP landscape in the cloud. And it's also designed to better control your infrastructure and ensure compliance. So this is some examples of the tools that we have designed recently and that we could propose directly in the AWS marketplace. We have about 100 certifications. We are an SAP Gold partner and an AWS Premier Consulting partner. And what makes our company unique is that all our engineers are specialized in both environments. So they have this double expertise, both on SAP and AWS. And we were awarded Integrated of the Year in the Iberia region in 2020. So before we start following our agenda, maybe Kim, you can give us some insights on why we think SAP on AWS might be a good fit.
Thanks, Benoit. First of all, just to explain that the relationship between SAP and AWS, as Steve can confirm later on, it's a long way journey between the two companies. But today, as Linke, what we expect is to share some insights based on our experience with setups or migrations to the cloud of the customer SAP systems. Here you have 3 items that we would like to explain initially. SAP and cloud are different schools, and it's important that if you have SAP experience, or in the other case, you are cloud native digital, and you merge both worlds, you need a joiner that helps to understand each other, because in some cases there are differences that needs to be addressed together to the common success is that the SAP solution works properly in AWS. But even with this, when one of the items that we can recognize that when you do this migration of SAP on AWS is that the people that is former SAP customer, when they run the migration, bring awareness on security aspects that on the current locations or the previous locations, there was not considered. So we had, for example, some projects that when we were running, they execute a pen test and raised vulnerability applications that still that are the same in the former location, but when they are moved to the cloud, are critical. So it's something that you need to find that the opportunity to move to cloud will bring this type of security that has not been considered. And the last, but I think we believe it's important, SAP and AWS is a consumer of infrastructure as a service. And here it's the first for optimization. Think big, but start small. Based on our experience with different customers, they plan or they size the platform with the final scenario. However, and Steve will go through the capabilities of AWS, SAP provide a new paradigm to think about it. And for that reason, we like to follow one of the principles in AWS that we must think big, but start small and use what we need. So, Steve, your turn to explain about all the powers that we have with AWS.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. So, reliability concepts for SAP on AWS. Firstly, let's look at high availability. Really, this is the ability to recover from a fault. Can I fail over to reduce business disruption? Can I do this 24/7? These are the important concepts that we that underpin our service for SAP on AWS. Secondly, is my data stored and is it available when I need to recover it? Can I do this securely and cost effectively at a time when I need to? Generally, we refer to this as RPO. And finally, in the event of a larger incident, can I recover all my applications and data back to the business in their entirety in the event of a major incident? So we'll have a look at some of the concepts now and some of the design and architecture patterns that will help you achieve this for SAP on AWS. Let's look at some of the HA and DR design patterns that are available on AWS for SAP. Firstly, passive DR, which is a more cost-effective means of recovering an instance in the event of an outage or an issue. And this is where we have data backed up to a secondary region, okay, synchronously. So first of all, in the event of an issue, generally we will determine that the RTO for this type of architecture will be generally measured in hours. Why is that? That is because you have to, in the event of an incident, you have to restore your AMIs, then use the backup and restore mechanism to recover your SAP application. This would be used for customers that generally can tolerate a higher RTO, and of course the cost for this type of design is much lower. Then we look at pilot light DR. This is probably the most cost-effective architecture pattern we see, certainly for single instance customers. And this is where only the critical core systems of SAP are replicated in the secondary region. Then we use AMIs to scale back up in the event of needing to fail over to the secondary region. And this will deliver an RTO of within minutes. Again, this is a cost optimized design, which balances the ability to recover while not investing extra costs in workloads that you are not using regularly. Warm standby DR, as the name suggests, is where the critical core components of SAP are replicated at the same size as the primary production instances in a secondary region. Generally, this is associated with RTO of within seconds. In terms of high availability options, you can either opt for a manual failover through alerting or using clustered solutions. With the manual failover, you can develop monitoring scripts using a number of AWS native services. And in the event of a failure or needing to fail over, you can build new instances in a secondary availability zone. Okay, the important consideration here is this is near high availability because the systems need to be built in the case of a recovery. Normally, this would happen in under an hour, but that depends on the size of the solution. Clustering, you can use clustering software that detects and handles failover with a recovery time measured in minutes or less. And there, as you can see, we support most of the main marketplace clustering solutions for SAP, both SUSE, Red Hat, Windows, and Veritas. Okay, moving on. So enterprises often look at migrating backup and restore and archive data onto AWS because they can enjoy the advantages of scalable, durable, and low-cost cloud storage with a simple and quick migration. Customers can use AWS Storage Gateway as a virtual tape library, for example, or as a file storage target for their backup infrastructure. Practically every enterprise backup or information management software available in the marketplace today integrates directly with S3 and S3 Glacier, making movement of data as simple as flipping the bit, as we say in the console to write to S3. For backup and archive data, this provides a very cost-effective mechanism, especially where you need to store data that is no longer current, but still has business or regulatory value and needs to be stored so it can be recovered. It's possible to significantly reduce costs in securing your data this way. So for example, for one customer, we have eliminated something like 3,000 backup tapes and reduced their monthly disaster recovery expenses by more than 50% by moving to the AWS cloud. Okay, let's take a quick look at Cloud Endure, which is another service from AWS for disaster recovery. It can also be used for migrations, but the focus here is on disaster recovery. This is an automated solution that allows you to utilize block level continuous data replication, ensuring that your target machines are spun up in their most up-to-date state in the event of a disaster. Okay. Cloud Endure can be provisioned simply within minutes via a console. And importantly, Cloud Endure is not just relevant for SAP. It can be used to back up a very wide range of applications and platforms, meaning that that's a very cost-effective single mechanism for restoring applications, data, and your platform in the event of a DR situation. Finally, let's take a quick look at Launch Wizard. So Launch Wizard is an automated service for standing up and provisioning SAP instances on AWS. It is a wizard-based experience through the console, provides a central place to view and manage SAP deployments, and it also can be used for reuse. So if you have complex landscapes that you wish to, so I think we've lost the slides. Let me just go back to the slides, apologies.
Yeah.
Got them back now, okay. So when you need to redeploy or copy an instance, you can do this using Launch Wizard, okay. Launch Wizard also allows you to right size instances. So if you provide either a sizing through Quick Sizer or the relevant sizing information, Launch Wizard will recommend an optimized set of instances for you to launch. It will also provide a price for those instances before you launch them, so you can do a final check before you can then automate the entire landscape to, for example, another region. Let me just go back quickly and cover EC2 instances. Importantly here, all of AWS's SAP instances are certified with SAP, okay? We've been doing this for a long time, and since 2008, we've been running certified SAP workloads on AWS. And as you can see there, in terms of scale up options, up to 24 terabytes, and also for scale out, so particularly BW instances, we can actually scale out to 100 terabytes or even more in terms of size. So that includes my piece of the presentation. I'll just hand back over to Kim again.
Thank you, Steve. And we had a question from the audience before we move on about what is an MEI. So basically, maybe you can provide some more details, Steve, but basically an MEI is an Amazon machine image that will provide you the information required to launch an instance.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So yeah, AMIs are Amazon machine images, as Benoit said. They are snapshot images which can be stored in a secondary region, okay? And rather than actually having those instances up and running and paying for them, you can simply, in the event that you want to spin up a mirror image of that instance in the secondary availability zone, you can do that automatically. safe in the knowledge that that AMI is a snapshot image of the instance you are happy with.
Thank you, Steve, for this precision. So we thought it was important as a start to, as we know that security and criticality is one of the main fear when moving to the cloud, to quickly present you the options available today on the AWS platform. What we will go through now is how we can optimize on the basis layer and around some automation tools and managed service solution, try to get the best out of your SAP workloads in the cloud. So I will hand over to Kim regarding this topic.
Thanks, Benoit, again. So as Steve introduced it, automation is a way to optimize our platform. And this is our second hint. Those that are coming from a digital transformation program, it's something that it's part of moving to the cloud, automation, something that it's part of your journey. But when you are talking about the scenarios of SAP, in some cases sounds weird because it's something that the people is not get used. The goal of automation is to be able to create the infrastructure when required, cost effective, and in a way that the actions are reproduced time to time, minimizing the human errors. So what we are working, one option is, as Steve mentioned, to work with the launch wizard. However, what we are facing in those customers that are cloud native for digital applications, that they already have their own CI/CD pipeline. And then comes the need to use the same type of tools and the same knowledge of how to develop infrastructure as a code to reuse it for SAP. For that cases, we are working with a proposal from Linke, and the experience in Linke is to work with two major areas. For deploying infrastructure, working with Terraform and CloudFormation that allow us to implement the service, the AWS service, to be used for our applications. And then after we run via automation and through this pipeline, the configuration, either the OS or the subsystems. In those scenarios, we are working with Chef or Ansible. That are two tools that support these facilities and these features. Changes can be used in different areas. So what we are dividing this setup, we are doing building blocks to allow have our subsystem reproducible and reusable as much as possible. So we have a set of scripts that allow to create the infrastructure, either standalone, distributed, or with high availability. At infrastructure layer, this can also be reused for any application, not SAP. So consider that this could be an asset in the company to be reused for all type of EC2 instance that you need to deploy and be your baseline, your initial image. By the other hand, these two areas, subproducts and database, are configurations of those instances. Our development, our experience can help to optimize and deploy and manage database, different database types like Oracle, HANA, Sybase, or MaxDB. All the codes are available and we are ready to use for any type of implementation on our customers. And at the end, when you have the strategy, the pillars or the element required for an SAP installation, we are able to run the implementation of the SAP products, S4HANA, BW for HANA, different flavors of RFP, Suite on HANA, NetWeaver Java. So with these scripts or with these automations that we already have, we are able to speed up the project execution. And this type of scripts, how we are building, help to run the maintenance later on and be able to execute activities in parallel. Where we are using, as I mentioned, in a new implementation, in a setup starting from scratch, and also for operations. Here we are running infra and SAP. To be clear, you are not going to manage with automation the configuration of the business processes. You are managing all related to the infra till the basis part. And also, these type of automations can help to recreate, build, and rebuild environments to doing benchmarking, to do the books of the platform. So here you have the opportunity to have your normal track for your environment, but in case of failure, you can create a playground equal as you have production, do all the tests, the bug fixing and all the items in an isolated platform that as soon as you have the fix and put it in your environment track, you can remove the infrastructure. So this is one of the advantages that we define as optimization, because nowadays our customers, when they are hosted not in cloud, this is a barrier. The provisioning of new machines, the availability of hardware resources. So here you have the way to manage in a different method. When we do this type of automations, as I introduced before, we are running the configuration of all the disk, of all the OS till US level, user level, parameter, packages, clustering, and also the database. So with this type of configuration, we are able to run a cluster setup of 12 environments in parallel in less than 2 days. And these 2 days means build the cluster and also run the test. So in terms of time to market, you can ensure that if you need your environment in week 2 of May, so you only need to prepare the infrastructure the week before, because then you will you have all these automations that allows to be sure that you will have the platform ready at that point of time. As our automation has moved and has been tested during the last years, all these actions, installation, sub-kernel updates, system refresh, and start and stop, it's something that we have as part of our deliverables, as part of our services, and we are able to create an acceptance platform with 5 different applications also in less than a week, because all the process has been validated following the requirements of each customer and created as we are deploying the implementation. So this helps to the organizations change the plans of the project if required. And this is how we see the optimization with automation. And now, Benoit, Steve, just move about how we plan the operations in AWS.
Thanks a lot, Kim, for those precisions on the automation tools. What we would like to present you now is to have a closer look at the run part when your system has been migrated with some automation tools like Kim just presented. What is quite new is that we are now offering a full integrated model through some managed services, and basically proposing you an end-to-end administration and operation services. So if you look at this diagram on the right, you can show the splits of roles and responsibility to deliver that joint operating model. It's basically Linker in orange is responsible for the SAP basis, operating systems, database support and maintenance. So SAP HANA, MaxDB, as we just saw. And AWS is responsible, as you can see in blue, for the operation of the underneath infrastructure. So basically the EC2, the security management, and the network part. So Linker Managed Services is designed to guarantee the availability, the performance, and evolution of the supported platform, following all the ETIL service management framework. This service is divided into three main support areas: the preventive support, the corrective support, and the change management if necessary. So if we look at a closer look now at the range of managed services that we are covering, it goes from the AWS accounts and landing zone management to the AWS service operations like VPC, subnets, gateways, the database support, the SAP, of course, technical infrastructure support, the backup management, and the Solman setup and configuration of some required scenarios, such as AWS report setup, for example. So we just wanted to show you that we can propose some automations tool to deploy your initial SAP environment, but also all the maintenance and support that you need once those systems are migrating. So the SAP basis administration task, the fixing system bugs, to address some SAP performance issues and fine-tuning, and always following the best AWS and SAP practices and compliance requirements. So the main advantage for you as a customer is that, of course, you minimize human task and that you can benefit of one single point of contact. So it's very important for us that you, as a customer, remain the owner of your SAP system environment, but you can delegate all the day-to-day maintenance task to a third party or to AWS. If we look now at some cost optimization issue and solutions, I have a question in the chat asking about those topics. Basically, what are the major factors deciding the cost and how the comparison can be done with a solution on-premise? So I hope we will cover this through this chapter.
And there is another one, Benoit, regarding if we can scale up the configuration. And we understand that if it's possible to have a 800 gigabyte SAP, 800 case, it's the sizing available on AWS for instances are quite broad, as Steve showed it. But if you can be more clear about the 800 case that you mean, it's because scalable, you can do it and scale up till 24 gigs. In virtual, it's the with considering bare metal solutions. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kim. Maybe we'll have more precisions on the question. So regarding cost optimizations, apart from the two main topics that are security and criticality, the major fear today is the uncertainty behind cost on infrastructure maintenance, and to see if those costs can really be reduced and in which percentage. So to respond to questions, total cost of ownership can be calculated given different factors that will have a direct impact on the final SAP system cost. Those costs can be easily summarized in three big areas. The first one is the hardware, of course. The second one is the software, like operating system licenses, virtualization software, storage management, high availability solution, disasters recovery, firewalls, and more. And finally, you have to take into account the service infrastructure cost. So what we are proposing is a 5 steps methodology based on our experience to optimize those costs. The first one is to facilitate the cloud adoption with a common project from a team and human perspective, implicating your technicians with the help of an AWS solution architect. The second one is mainly around building the right architecture. So this architecture design must reflect the needs of your company in terms of availability, performance, security, and operation. So that means proper sizing at the right time, avoid oversizing for virtual machine, like Kim just said, and being able to resize it in a quick manner and scale up or scale down. So as Ricardo Casanovas, our CTO, sometimes says as an example, for systems with a usage ratio lower than 60%, it is sometimes more convenient to pay on-demand prices than making reserved instances. So this is where our expertise can help you really choose the right level of infrastructure you need. Then we can use, as we presented, some automation tools to deploy new instances and sandbox in minutes. And of course, we have a measurement and iteration path that allows you to constantly make sure that you are on the right track. I also wanted to present you some funding programs that can help you heavily reduce the building part of your project. And basically, Linker is today a certified member of the MAP for SAP program. This migration acceleration program is a comprehensive and proven cloud migration program based upon AWS experience of migrating 1,000 enterprise customers to the cloud. So the program includes some best practices, some tools, some expertise, and of course, some financial incentives so you can accelerate your migration. I see there are some more questions, so we will try to respond those at the end. And now I will hand over to Vincent from SAP, as we have moved up from the infrastructure part to the intermediate basis layer. We'll now move to the SAP application layer, and Vincent will present you some new security features available now from SAP.
Thank you, Benoit. So yes, when we are talking about security for the workload, it also includes the security of the application layer. And in this area, there is new challenges. We can see the landscape are more and more complex, combining on-premise, private cloud, public cloud application. We have also some compliance requirements, new regulation that impact directly how you can manage your data and how you share the responsibility over data management with the cloud provider. For example, the GDPR and all the article related to data transfer. So there is a new demand to be able to handle these challenges and to be able to ensure data sovereignty over your sensitive information, security of the business processes, with the capacity also to show your compliance with this regulation. I will go quickly over some of the new SAP solutions that can help you to manage these new challenges. First aspect, how to manage identity and access governance over this new hybrid landscape, combining multiple models, again, on-premise, cloud, which can be private or native cloud application. So we have a solution, a cloud native solution called Identity Access Governance that will allow you to manage the user lifecycle management. So creation of user account, assignment of application roles, also taking into account access risk, access to critical business transaction or business capacities, and also segregation of duty. Also managing the specific privilege access to secure your administrator, to secure access to very dangerous business action too, and being able to do this on your hybrid landscape for on-premise system, but also on the AWS platform when you deploy SAP over the AWS platform, and also taking into account the native cloud solution, public cloud solution from the SAP world with standard connector, but also non-SAP ones that are compatible with the scheme protocol. We can manage this technical element, life cycle of the user, but we also are able to go into the access risk, combining technical but also business aspect with the capacity to run segregation of duty analysis, combining authorization of your end user coming from on-premise system, ERPs deployed over AWS platform, and also access to native cloud solution. Another important aspect is related to data sovereignty. So with the solution called Data Custodian, we provide an independent encryption key management service. So you will be able to deploy your SAP application over AWS, for example, encrypt your SAP data in the AWS platform, but generate through this service a master encryption keys that will not be managed over the AWS platform. It will be secured in an independent key vault, and then you can implement segregation of duty with the cloud provider to ensure that he will not combine the data and the encryption keys. So we can help you to easily deploy this service because it's natively integrated with the SAP world and with the hyperscaler platform, especially AWS. We have a partnership on this specific topic. Last element is how to be able to detect threat, to detect unusual behavior inside the application layer, inside the SAP system. We have a very powerful solution called Enterprise Threat Detection that can manage in real time the analysis of all the technical events, understand and correlate all these technical events into human language. And over this comprehensive translation layer, we also provide attack detection pattern, pre-configured pattern that will allow you to identify this kind of threat, intrusion, unusual and dangerous user behavior inside the SAP system. We can connect this enterprise threat detection solution with CIEM solution. It can be used in conjunction of the AWS guard duty services, for example, to combine threat detection at the infrastructure level in AWS with the threat detection inside the SAP application. It can be also integrated with CIEM solution like QRadar, HP ArcSight, Splunk, and so on. Last information, this ETD solution is now available as a cloud service. So no infrastructure needed, no technical installation. This is pure cloud application. And this new model also include managed service. So the SAP cybersecurity expert will not only configure ETD for you, but they will also deploy threat detection pattern and monitor this pattern for you and go back to you to inform you when there is a risk that have been really identified by the SAP cybersecurity expert. This managed service comes with the basis services directly with the subscription to ETD Cloud. And by this summer, we will propose extended service with the capacity to deploy more custom detection pattern or to define also a service level agreement, custom service level agreement with your organization. So that's all for my part. I wanted just to make a quick highlight on the security aspect and how we can manage this in conjunction with AWS. I will take back the speech to Benoit.
Thanks a lot, Vincent. So we're running out of time now, but the idea of this webinar was to, as Vincent said, give you a kind of overview on solutions available at the infrastructure level, some automation tools, some managed services to propose an integrated model on our side, and some new security features available at the SAP application layer. So, of course, if you need more information on one of those topics, we'd be happy to help you out. And I will now have a look at the chat zone and see if we still have a few minutes to respond to your question. So regarding sizing, I see that we have some precisions on the questions before. Maybe Kim, you can try to answer it. Is to be more specific, sizing is always about memory in scale-up configuration. For example, with 12 terabytes of memory, how many SAPs may we have at the maximum? Is it possible, for example, to have 800 kilo SAPs and 12 gigabytes of memory? So it's quite specific, so I don't know if you have the response to that.
I think we need to understand better the scenario for that question. If the person who is asking, if he authorize us, we will reach him and have a half-hour meeting to clarify these questions, because otherwise usually these type of discussions has a lot of branches, and perhaps it's more valuable than provide, yes, it's possible or not, it's not possible, because we can create some confusion.
Okay.
So if it's possible like this and we are authorized, we will try to have a half-hour call to go through detailed questions and clarify all these doubts.
Of course, we will get back to this person with more details. I don't see any more questions.
There was one more, Benoit,
go ahead, Steve.
which I can take. Yeah, just on the former point, absolutely, I agree. That's an example that we need to have a deeper review of. It really relates to whether you're in preload and what the architecture design is. So we'd be happy to support on that with a more detailed follow-up. But just on the cost question, what are the major factors deciding the cost and how the comparison can be done with regard to on-premise? So there's a couple of points that really drive that. So the main cost drivers, as we discussed, are levels of availability. So the more highly available you are with the lower RTO, that will of course drive cost. But we generally recommend a pilot-like design, okay, which was shown in one of the former slides. That is cost optimized, okay? So what that means is it is the balance between the ability to recover within business requirements, but also minimizes the amount of cost for running workloads that you potentially aren't going to use. So it's a cost versus recovery discussion. The second point and again highlighted in one of the slides, is the cost of backup and restore. And there are often hidden costs associated with this on-premise, and also reliability issues. So again, just going back to that slide, AWS S3 buckets do provide a highly secure and very cost-effective mechanism for storing backups, okay, either in the primary or secondary region, compared to on-premise. I would say it's one of the major features, major cost differences compared to on-premises. So backup and restore costs, as I say, can be hidden costs associated with supporting SAP workloads.
Thanks a lot, Steve, for those precisions. As you said, I think detecting some hidden costs and have some precise answers on how you're going to function and build up your new infrastructure is very important. So I think we're going to wrap up now because we are running out of time. Thanks a lot for your participation. I want to thank all speakers today, and we would be very happy to continue the conversations with you. So you have our emails there, so please feel free to interact with us if you need more precisions on those topics. Thanks a lot, and talk to you very soon.